Coming up on GYAPTOOTH, Brother Polight Skin, Sun Tzu, The Good News, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
GYAPTOOTH.
Like hot sauce. I put that on everything.
I woke up to a storm of opinions.
Okay.
Each carried its own banner proud of the truths they had all claimed to capture and held them as cannons and crowns.
Go Z.
A crowd of tsunamis crashing, slam dancing on pages out loud.
Wow.
All the new news was old as past winter, but all the old news is happening now.
Word up.
I woke up a bold, brilliant tornado, tall as God with my claim on the town. But the low wind chill thinkers made hurricane blizzards and winds I just can't stick around.
Spin.
When sunless cold winters seem winners and the whirling sun's braids have unwound,
Come on.
we'll see how the howling sky thirsts for new light. But hold tight, I'll go turn that on now. This is Azim. Welcome to GYAPTOOTH.
That was dope, Z.
Now, I told myself when I start this thing, listen, Ish, don't go into politics.
Right.
Leave it alone. Don't talk about conspiracies and politics and all, certain of your heroes and that. Let it be. You're here to entertain. You're here to make people feel good.
Right.
That's what I told myself. But damn it, I can't help it. Like, I'm looking on Facebook. I even told myself on Facebook.
Alright, what'd you tell yourself, Z? You talking to yourself, man.
I said, I'm not gonna get involved in this emotional back and forth because most people are just dealing with emotions. Let me stay out of it. But I look on Facebook and I see everybody repeating the same phrase about voting. First of all, I don't care what you think about voting. What I think about voting isn't the point here. I want to know what the term holding them accountable means.
Exactly.
I've asked plenty of people, right? What do you mean by we're going to hold them accountable? No one can explain to me what mechanism is in place if they don't do what you expect them to do. What mechanism do we have? What action? Holding is an action, is it not? What action do we have to hold them accountable? And if you can't answer that question, why do you keep repeating it?
They programmed, Z. They just talking, man. The
So
news.
we got Brother Polight Skin on the line.
Who?
Brother Polight Skin is gonna explain it. Brother Polight Skin, are you there, brother?
Most
All
assuredly.
right, good. First of all, can you please explain to us what is meant by the term holding them accountable, please, brother?
Oh, yeah. But first I want to say, Tep Alaikum to the family as it pertains to the Dogon tribe and the Star of Sirius. And now to answer your question, black man, holding is like to hold, right? It's a verb, right? All right. Them would be a constructive conduit bridge within the sentence to signify who the sentence is about. You lost me already. Accountable means that we will be able to count the amount of times that the good Joe Biden and Kamala Harris don't do what we say, but we will hold them accountable as it pertains to the writings of Tehuti, which is the origins of the pronunciations of black democracy, which we are all a part of. That's why you should vote.
All right, hold on, good brother. What do you mean by black democracy? What's that mean?
The black democracy, brother. Black democracy is our communities' communal ways of chasing the American dream. We have to chase the American dream. One at a time, brother. It's all one at a time. Similar to the ways that we vote. He was on crack, Zane. Because the white man stole our conceptions and our civil rights have therefore been
Hold up, brother Polight Skin. Hold up.
Bath salt too.
All right, define what you mean by civil rights.
You need to shut the fuck. Brother, there's two types of rights, okay? There's civil rights, and then there's evil rights, okay? Both of them are spelled very, very the same. You see, that's why we're forced to pick between two evils, because the system is evil, but we are taught to deal with it in a civil way. If you read my book, The Numerology of Numerology, you will understand how the connection between the... About time. Damn.
Yeah, and see, folks, you see what I'm saying? Like,
That's a crackhead.
that's the problem.
Nah, that's a crackhead.
We're all running around with these catchphrase statements that we cannot define. Like, what's the deal with that? So, oh man. Even if you look at statements, everyday statements that we have, right? Like, we have statements like, it's time to settle down. I mean, have you really think about the definition of those words? A, settle, all right, to settle, you know, and then the other word is down. It's like two compromises packed into one wholehearted statement. The last thing I would do when it comes to my partner for life is settle for anything. That's number one. And then number two, I'm not looking down. I'm not looking down. I want to rise up. I don't want to settle down. Who wants the go? Just stop climbing the mango tree and go pick the low-hanging fruit and be happy with it. So what if it's got a couple ants and bugs on it? Nah. I want that mango on the top of the tree that nobody has touched yet, that nobody has even seen before.
Stop with the mangoes.
And I'm willing to take some scrapes and bruises and risk whatever I got to climb that tree. But hey, that's just me. But I feel just like food, we should all want the best for ourselves. You know, so settle down. That's a crazy statement. Don't ever tell me to settle down. I'm gonna settle my foot in your bombaras. So look, secondly, they got another saying. What's the saying we were talking about the other day? The shitty end of the stick.
The what?
The shitty end of the stick? Where does that statement come from?
I heard the ugly stick.
Like, where was the stick before you started handing it to people? That's the first thing I want to know. How did it get shitty? Why are y'all walking around with shitty sticks? Like, that's a real saying. It had to come from somewhere. Who's walking around in the woods with shitty sticks and handing it to people? You don't just make a saying like that up, right? That sayings don't just come out of the blue. Like, oh, Bob, you got the sandy part of the tampon this time. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen.
Squirrel paws, dog paws.
Oh, hold on. What happened to my studio audience?
We here, but nah, bro. Yeah, see,
but it doesn't make sense. Right, okay, so,
no,
all right.
Pick another one.
All right, well, listen, this isn't the Oprah show. This is GYAPTOOTH, and I'll say what I want to say.
Yeah, but pick
all
another.
All right? You got the slippery end of the Oprah on that one.
Yeah, that's better. Say that.
Shout out.
Talk that Oprah shit.
To my brother Lect in Abu Dhabi.
Shout out Oprah.
Also, shout out to the inventor of naps.
What?
Big up naps. I think it's babies. Babies invented naps, right? Taking a nap. Babe, who said babies can't change the world? They invented taking a nap.
Word up.
That's like, I'm voting for a baby. If they put a baby up, I'm voting for the baby just because, that one action alone has, I think, stopped wars and all types of bad things from happening.
Would you vote for Kanye or the baby?
Taking a nap. So shout out to babies for that.
I'd vote for the baby.
And shout out to babies. Speaking of babies, it's time for an episode of The Good News.
Yo, this shit corny, G. I'm gonna take a break.
Howdy, what's happening? What's up? What's cracking? And wagwan. Welcome to The Good News. In Thailand, a nice lady named Suthasini realized that a lot of the farm workers and migrant workers were going hungry and things like that. So she said, hey, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to talk to this guy that I know with a big roof, and we're going to plant gardens on rooftops. And they went ahead and started planting these big gardens on these rooftops. And now all of these workers and people who were going hungry and who were under sufferation can go up to these gardens and pick their food how they like. And this trend is spreading around the world. Big up for that. Police, quote-unquote, officers in the notorious racist state of Mississippi have been charged with second-degree murder of a 62-year-old black man.
Oh, I'm back for that.
And we've seen a trend in this going down, and we've seen more of that happen this year during the year of revolting than we have ever before. So let's keep this trend up. Shout out to the people in the streets. Also, lastly and most importantly, you might want to sit down for this one.
Oh, okay.
The world-renowned actor, philosopher, metaphysical genius,
Tupac?
Patrick from SpongeBob, now has his own show. Got his own spinoff. He's blowing up. He's getting a star on Hollywood Boulevard and all of that. Big up to Patrick. And this has been the mother-frickin' good news.
That's a crying shame, Zane. You got cartoons making more money than regular people.
Yeah. As I said in a couple of earlier episodes, I used to teach in high schools, what do they call it, a teaching artist. But, basically they turned the classroom over to us. And I remember having to, being forced basically to teach a room full of Caribbean and African American students about the Wall of China, right? The Great Wall of China, right? And explaining it only took about 15 minutes, basically. So to tell them, to add to the curriculum, I decided to tell them about Sun Tzu, right? So one of my favorite stories about Sun Tzu is there was an emperor who was under attack, So Sun Tzu goes to this guy's palace and and says, "Hey, I want a meeting with the emperor." And he says, "Hey, man, I'm me, Sun Tzu. You might have heard of me, you know what I mean? And give me access to your army, and I'm going to show you how to fling the thing, and you guys are going to be triumphant because I see where you're where y'all need some help. I'm gonna come tighten you up. I'm gonna come line y'all up, tighten you up. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna come out with a proper fade, lined up, bzz, 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 everything, right?"
That's my vital.
So
That's not
the emperor's like, didn't take him seriously. Like, "Oh, you little man, you gonna whip my army into shape? Okay." He said, "Okay, yeah." And the emperor tries to subtly insult him, right? So he says, "Here, I give you control of the women of the palace." So all the servant women and the emperor's wives and concubines got into a room, right? And Sun Tzu was like, "So you're making me a general, like I have complete control over," because Sun Tzu peeped it. He's like, "Oh, a diss ya try for diss me." Like, "Oh, all right, you want to diss me? Oh, okay." So Sun Tzu oversigns them because, he don't deal with emotion like that. So he said, "Okay." So all the concubines and wives and servant women came in. Sun Tzu came in. They were all gigglifying and cackalacking and talking and stuff. He tapped his staff 3 times on the ground. Tap, tap, tap. I want y'all attention. When you hear me do this, tap, 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 that means I want everyone to be quiet and stand in formation. They laughed and giggled. He said, "Tap, tap, tap." And they ignored him. He said, "Oh, okay. Maybe you didn't hear me clearly. Let me reintroduce myself. My name is Sun Tzu. I've just been made a general of the military of the great emperor such and such, with the power to do, to whip you into shape by any means necessary because we're under attack. And therefore, when you hear me tap my staff 3 times, you will come to order. Tap, tap, tap." Again, they gigglified and ignored him. He said, "Okay. You and you step forward," and had their heads chopped off.
blood clean.
A servant runs over to the king like, yo, that crazy dude, that crazy old man that you just let into the crib, just cut your wives' heads off for not listening to him. The king is like, what? Runs in there, and Sun Tzu was like, oh, well, you made me a general of your army, and that gives me the power to do whatever. I explained to them who I was, that you gave me that power, and they ignored me. I explained the second time, so I had to make an example out of them. The king knew he was right, so he just told him, Guan, just Guan. Don't even look, just left me gets, and don't turn back, right? So Sun Tzu's like, all right, man. He walks away and leaves. Weeks go by, the king's army is just getting tossed up and chopped up all over the battlefield. They getting that work from the enemy. And just as it's almost to the end, one of them people remember, hey, what about that old man that came into the palace and said he was gonna do what he was gonna do, and we laughed at him, and he, maybe we do need some of that, That they called Sun Tzu back in, and when Sun Tzu came back in and he tapped his staff 3 times, then people knew to get right and act right. Yeah. Moral of the story, be about what you say you're about. Even if people want to diss you and try to trick you and try to play you and try to sway you, do not let them delay you. Keep forward ever, backward never. Do not look back. You see, that's why the Rastafarians don't say back. That's why they call it frontal leaf, right? Frontal leaf, you know why they call it frontal leaf? Because it's a tobacco leaf. But Rasta don't use the word back, so they call it to frontal. And to frontal became what you call frontal leaf when you roll your spliffs or your grabber and all of that. Right? All right, boom, that's a little bit of history there. Now, last but not least, people, remember this. Every single person on the planet is a genius at one time or another.
I don't know about that one. You ever been to Florida?
You yourself have had a genius $1 million idea. More than one. But guess what? You forgot it just as quick. Just as quickly as you thought of it, you have forgotten it because you didn't seize it. You didn't bring that thought into reality. Consciousness makes form. Look at everything around you. Nothing around you was just came to be. It was first thought about. The computer, the microphone, a pencil, some scissors, your shoes, the floor, a piece of wood, whatever it was thought about first, even in nature. You can't tell me grand intelligence isn't behind nature. Therefore, consciousness creates form. So when you get ideas, you have to bring them out of your mind into physical reality. So when you get a genius idea, I'm going to tell you a secret on what to do. Are you ready?
Hell yes.
Are you ready?
Yeah. Try that science.
People remind me to find a new studio audience because sometimes I might have to fire this one. So listen.
Hit me. Too much
I got this from my mother, who got it off of TED Talks, okay? There was a woman who had trouble getting out of bed. For some reason, she was having trouble getting out of bed, and she just couldn't get up out of bed. And then she learned if she just said, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, get up, that it started to work. So every morning she would wake up and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and just get up, no matter what her mind told her. Right? And this became a mechanism in her mind. So you know how you're sometime during the day and you say, oh, I need to send this particular business email, but I'll get around to it later. Right now I'm just gonna finish this YouTube thing I was watching. Or right now I'm just gonna, drink this cup of coffee and, No, what you do and what you should incorporate into your everyday life is saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and do it. If you want to send an email, say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and do it. And this will become a habit for you, and you will find that you will get 1,000 times more things done during the day than you were doing before. I promise you, just if nothing else, if you take nothing else out of this particular podcast right here, begin to try that. The minute you say, oh, I need to do something, maybe later, say, no, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and do it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
All right? Be the genius that you are. You are wealthy. You are a millionaire. And when you start doing this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know what happens? It will brighten your self-esteem, because you'll feel like, wow, I got a lot done today. I've been a busy person, and your life will begin to move forward in the proper direction.
I see.
So on that, we are gonna left you.
Yeah.
And I want to definitely say also a really wholehearted thank you. I want to say thank you to everybody
Guys in the new age.
for the support, and for just for getting behind me, for everybody who's listening. You know, I don't expect everyone to listen. So I want to say thank you for listening from all of us here at the show, and we got a whole lot more things coming. And also, I think I'm gonna go cook some soup later on this evening, or later on today when the sun comes out. And so maybe I'll film it and throw it up. You know, I got this new camera.
Nah, just film it. Don't throw it
and
up.
I'm trying to do some new. No, I'm not trying. I'm doing some new things. So I'm gonna I might throw up a little cooking thing.
No,
it might be, it might be a little amateur minute, but it'll be my first thing. And I think I'm gonna make some soup. You want some soup? Some pumpkin soup? Like spicy Jamaican pumpkin soup? Spicy Jamaican pumpkin soup. I think I'm gonna make that. So until next time, everybody, remember, for rough and cut mind gems direct to the customer, holler at Adonis and King. That's Adonis and King. They're gonna go down into the earth, get the gems and the stones that you want. They're gonna cut them and set them the way you like. Adonis Pina, Pina, on IG. And shout out to Ball Out Productions with the Float On Parties music events in New York City. Ball Out Productions, BAWLOUT, Instagram. All right. Love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. This is Azim. GYAPTOOTH. We out of here.
GYAPTOOTH, like hot sauce. I put that on everything.